This is the front desk.
Hello and welcome to episode 16 of the Crackin' Backs podcast with your hosts, Dr. Terry Wyman and Dr. Spencer Barron. How you doing today, guys?
Very good. Very good. All
There
right.
you go.
Awesome.
So Brian, you gonna,
Yes, sir.
go ahead and give that intro, baby. All right, sorry, man.
I was going to say, I'm like...
I'm fired up. I'm fired up.
Join us today is Dr. Brian Prieto, who was the Los Angeles Angels team chiro for 19 years and worked for the SF Giants when in LA for 20 plus years. In the time has had multiple opportunities to work with MLB, NHL players, and get interrupted by Spencer. So, how you doing today, Brian?
Hey guys, this is fantastic. Thanks so much for giving me a call, Terry and Spence. This is very unique. I'm excited to see what you guys are up to in regards to how you're going about, and I guess talking to chiros. I guess is that who our avatar is? That's who our speaker is, or our listeners? Or?
Chiros, athletes, presidents of schools, people that are just interested in chiropractic. I mean, we are. It is. You know what? The main focus is just getting chiropractic understood by all, and sports is probably one of the best vehicles between Terry and I and our history and of successes and mistakes. We want to hear about yours too, you know? So, Brian, it's great to see you again, man. It's really good.
Yeah, it's been a while. Last time we saw each other probably in Vegas at one of the pro sports chiropractic conferences.
Yeah.
Which is coming up.
We're going back. As a matter of fact, it's their 30-year reunion for pro sport.
30-year show, yeah.
Yeah. I'm unfortunately going to miss them. I'm going to be in New York during that weekend. So, going to be over there doing some fun stuff over there.
There you go. We also got our big old Spencer speaking on Thursday. So for all those who want to see the man live and in charge, you guys got to sign up and come on out.
Well, he's going to be in New York, which that is an East Coast state, by the way. Just so you know, you West Coasters look to come over to the East Coast on vacation.
I think okay, whatever.
Yeah. We can really get into it if we really want to, but
because there's three against one here. All right, so let me change gears a little bit. Brian, let's talk about your history. When did you start chiropractic college, or when did you graduate, I should say?
92. I graduated in 92 from LACC, Los Angeles College of Chiropractic. Which now it's a different name, I believe. Yeah.
So were you always into sports medicine?
Let's see here. Well, I guess giving you my background of how I came about was when I was in high school, injured, played football, sustained a neck injury, and when I sustained a neck injury, I had a cervical torticollis, woke up one morning. Of course, you're a kid, you don't know, right? And you wake up and can't move my neck. My parents take me to the emergency room. I'm trying to make the team. Didn't want to miss practice, and there was much I can do. And so we went to the doctors and went medication. And I heard about a chiropractor. And the chiropractor at the time, his name was Gary Tuthill. Do any of you remember Gary Tuthill?
I do.
Gary Tuthill is one of our forefathers in chiropractic. Yep. He was the head trainer for the Los Angeles Rams at the time. And he was also their chiropractor. Yeah. So he had a practice in Anaheim, not that far from Ram Park. And so my parents took me to him. And next thing I know it, I'm back in order, ready to go. But I remember seeing these Rams players like Carl Ecker, Lawrence McCutcheon, these guys in the office. I says, wow, this is really exciting. I think I'd like to do this, because I was leaning towards becoming a dentist, and we'd probably be on a dentist podcast right now, but I really didn't have any kind of passion for being a dentist. And so I says, you know what? I think I can do this. And that's when I decided at that age to become a chiropractor and wanted to lean towards a sports chiropractor. So then going through the process, you go to high school, through college, and then I was going through a local college here And then I end up asking Gary, hey, can I get a job from you? And he hired me. So now I was an assistant from him. And so that office was set up for a rehab, like, rehab facility, chiropractic. And so we saw these athletes come through. So that's where I learned this trade of athletes coming through. And then when I end up going to chiropractic college, then I said, okay, I want to be just like Gary. Gary, I learned from him. He was my mentor.
He's a legend.
And so then going through the process, I'm sorry, I know I'm answering I'll have a long answer to your question.
No.
I'm setting it up with it, is then when I graduated, and then I ended up practicing, I opened up my own practice in February 96. Well, Gary was on the PGA Chiro at the time, and he ended up passing away.
Oh my God.
And at that time, the Angels were using him, but no one was really going into the clubhouses at that time with it. And so the trainer knew me from working with Gary, gave me a shot, and then it started to snowball from there. But I had some other effects prior to that, and started with the Arena Football League and did a PGA, things like that. And then that's how I got into sports chiropractic. Long story, but that's what it was.
No, that's great. Do you remember your first patient? Your first pro athlete patient?
Yes.
Wait. Yeah. It's funny. Some guys are very HIPAA compliant and careful to say who.
Right.
And
right.
If you got a relationship with a player, they're not going to it's not like we're reporting on HIV or, anything like that.
No.
We're not in Miami, so we don't have to report on HIV.
Yeah, I would have
because everybody's
got to say yes. No. I remember my first patient. I'll keep him anonymous.
Okay.
With this, and it was 20 something years ago. Well, no, actually, it was 26, 27 years ago. With it, he wasn't a professional athlete at that time, but he's a very well known athlete around the world. Let's just say that golfer.
Very cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Were you nervous?
Of course. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't. Right, but then you have to kind of go back to the basics.
Yeah,
the basics of, all right, do what you need to do, and you focus.
Right.
And I'm a big believer of, hey, you focus at the task at hand, and you don't worry about any other distractions. That other distractions comes in all the time.
Yeah.
Right, and that noise is here. And if you let it get to you, then it affects how you do your work, right? And how you do your job.
Right.
I'm sure the both of you have had the same type of experience.
Yeah.
I have noise every day in my ear from this podcast from some guy on the East Coast. So, what do you notice different in the training room versus in your office? As far as how you treat and stuff like that.
Well, in your office, you're the lead, right? In the training room, you're not the lead. You're a team member.
Good way to put it.
Right. So that's a big key. And I think if I'm going to talk to young chiropractors or chiropractors looking to get into sports, that training room is not your domain. You are a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
In your office, you are the person. Right?
Yeah.
You're the man. You're the woman. You're the lead person. You can do what you want. In the training room, it's just not that way. You need to perform a service and perform a service to their liking, and you make sure that you don't take the credit, and you don't take the losses when something goes well. Because if you take the credit when someone hits a home run, well, then you got to take the losses when he strikes out and he goes in a slump, right? He or she goes in a slump. So you are a team member, and you are the leader in your office.
Right. Terry, you notice a theme there,
run.
Right?
I was just gonna say he hit a home run. Gary, I mean, Mike said the same thing. I mean, it's you just hit a home run with that statement, and that's the one thing that we hear all the time. And now we're seeing the theme of the guys that are in the training room with the pro athletes all have the same theme. And I think it needs to get to the other doctors who want to get in the training room to learn that theme. But he just hit it.
I've had the
go ahead.
Great fortune for longevity.
Yeah.
Right. And I think the longevity that I've had is because of that philosophy. I've seen a lot of DCs get in and then get booted out.
Yep.
I've, across the board for a myriad of different types of things that they've done, right? With it, either on social media, taking pictures with whatever the case may be, is you got to fly under the radar, do your job, and do your job well with that. And you are a team member. That's it.
That's great. The purpose of this podcast is to educate not just the young guys coming out and girls, but the seasoned doctors who get selected to work with a team. And that is probably the one of the core pearls of wisdom that what you said, we didn't set you up for it or anything like that. It just came out the same way that this trend that we're hearing with chiropractors that work with athletes, and that's the mentality if you want to work together. That's a great perspective. Do you
That's right.
do a lot of extremity adjusting? I know the answer to the question, but I want you to express it.
Well, in my office, or are you talking about in the training room?
Both, actually.
Okay. Well, so when I first came in, my role wasn't, when I first initially came in, my role wasn't extremity adjusting. My role was spine, right, with it. So if it was something that was needed, I had to, I made sure that I let them know that somebody wanted an extremity maneuver, and I always kept up the communication with that, because some players ask for it, and you're like, ooh, my role is the spine. I'm playing my role. This is in the training room, right? I don't want to step over my bounds with that. And so in the beginning, I didn't do a lot of extremity adjusting in the training room with it. And over the years, then you started to do more and more. I mean, I do have a really good story of an extremity experience with it that started off great, but then went south with it. And to say this is to, if you're going to talk about your wins, you got to talk about your losses.
Oh, absolutely.
Too.
Please
this,
share.
People have an understanding what this real world is like, right?
Yeah.
All right. So this was a player, a big time player with this. When I say high money player, high level player, and we would adjust his. He preferred getting his ankles adjusted, and sometimes we'd get some audible, sometimes we wouldn't. Well, this one particular day, we get this big audible release. Gets off the table and he's like, oh, wow, this was fantastic, right? Great experience. And, my ego just went whoop, right? I'm thinking, hey, right? You start like walking like Colin McGregor, right? You're walking across, right?
That's awesome.
It's just natural, right? It was a great game. So the next morning, I get a phone call. From our trainer. He's all, what happened to so-and-so, right? What'd you do to so-and-so? I says, well, what do you mean? I'm in the middle of patients. I says, what do you mean? He goes, well, he said he stood up the next morning, got out of bed, stepped, and all of a sudden, boop, something went right? Something went south on his ankle, and he started limping. So when he came into the training room, he talked to our head trainer, and he said, well, not much happened, but Prieto adjusted me, yesterday. And that was it. I got the phone call. And the phone call says, hey, we got a problem here. You need to get your tail down here right now and solve this problem.
Oh, boy.
So you remember that movie Airplane?
Yeah.
You remember the pilots trying to fly this plane and it's sweating?
All sweat.
I'm driving down the freeway.
Holy
I think
shit.
it was at lunchtime. We're leaving early. I'm driving. I'm thinking, I'm going to get fired. I'm sweating. I'm going to get fired.
Oh.
Right? It's,
Heart rate 190 over 90.
Oh, it was something else. Something else with this. And I was thinking, what the heck? Did he get in there? And he ended up going on he ended up missing like 3 or 4 games with that. Now, did it have something to do with our adjustment? Well, probably some relationship that was there, but he did pretty good prior to that with it. Stepped a little wrong, a little awkward. Yeah. And the experience at the end of the day was, whoa, that really opened me up.
Yeah.
Because, I was feeling really good to feeling, oh my gosh, I'm toast.
Yeah.
Those are the losses, and you have to experience those losses, and we have to be careful about what we're doing with that, and that's a real case, and that happened, quite a few years ago, less than 10 years ago probably, and I still made it. They still renewed me, so I said, okay, I guess I'm okay with that, but you got to be upfront, right?
That's a great story. Yeah, there was a.
Sometimes we learn more.
Oh no, go ahead. I was just going to say there was a NFL guy who's a linebacker, and he asked me to adjust him. Well, I always adjusted him, always, and he did. There was a couple games that he didn't play because his neck was injured, not because of the adjustment. That's why he was getting adjusted. But when the newspaper asked him what happened, he said, he goes, "Yeah, I've been injured, and I got the my neck cracked by the chiropractor, and it appeared in the paper as if I was the cause of his neck injury." So, man, clarity is everything. You and the ankle, adjusting. There could have been all these other variables where he would have injured his ankle that maybe it was already going to happen. You never know.
He played at that point. But at the bottom line is this: we are there to make our trainers look good.
Yeah. That is that's a good pearl.
The trainer is the head person.
Right. The certified athletic trainer.
Athletic trainer, yes. Yeah. Head athletic trainer is the main person. If we do our job, we make them look good, right? Because they're the ones who are going to get the heat from upper management with this, not us with this. So we have to remember as chiropractors, is this okay with your head trainer, right? With this, and then you get in the world of not okay. That's where things kind of go south, and that's how you can lose your position, lose your job with it. That's a key component, and I believe in strongly is you back up your trainer and you do what you need to do to make him or her successful.
I'd like you to. So that's a great pearl right there too. I'd like you to elaborate on that point. And when a player comes up to you and says, "Hey doc, can you just check out my shoulder or my whatever body part?" and you might, do some range of motion or muscle test, and he asks you your opinion, what do you say?
Ooh, that's happened many times with that. And if I'm right in the middle of the training room, before I was in a separate room, but in the past, I don't know, say 8 or 9 years, I guess I've been right in the middle of the training room with it. And then you look at the trainer and say, "Hey, what's the call on this? What's kind of going on with this?" You try to be as vague as possible, because if you have a contrast, you're thinking already. You say something and it's definitely contrast to what your team doctor has said and what your trainer has said, then you're in hot water. Right. Big so time. I try to not do something specific, because just to contraindicate possibly. And you know what? Your loyalty is to your staff, to your trainer,
right?
To your head trainer. That's where your loyalty is, and to your medical doctors with this. The players come and go with this, and you that's it. Bottom line.
That's a pearl right there. I mean, and it sounds easy and it sounds logical. I mean, sometimes even I make mistakes. I'll just get ahead of myself and start thinking I have to retro back and grab the trainer and go, "Oh, by the way, I did this and did this," and in my head, I'm beating myself up for not doing that ahead of time. But what baseball, we're talking to Michael, and baseball can be very superstitious. What are some of the superstitious stuff or superstitions you see in your training rooms?
The superstitious, let's see here. I mean, they would like to get adjusted like a certain time prior to game time, I guess, with that. But, they have the routines of what they do, mess around. I mean, the training room's a lot of fun, right? There's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff going on, and it's a kick, and you're just an observer, right? Yeah. And just smiling. And I mean, you're not a team, you're not a player, so you can't really participate so much, right? But you're just observing, and these guys are just kids. Yeah. Having a good time and doing what they do, right? It's like doing guy stuff, I guess, right?
Right.
They just it's a lot of fun with this, but I can't really honestly say where I saw certain players do certain things every single time, but I would say just time wise, they want to be adjusted by a certain time, and I knew the routines. They get in the tub, they do this, they get that, but nothing specific that I can recall of like wow, that's a little unusual.
So
do you have your special game socks that you Justin?
No, I don't have anything like that.
So my question though is that you've got well, this is probably because I'm lecturing on ethics coming up, and the world of sports and being in that training room is completely different than corporate America, but most people don't understand that. So do they a lot of the times when the players express their fondness of the chiropractor, they rip on you. They say things to you that you would never and they can get away with it because you're in, like a guy's environment, do you notice that? I guess every team has a different behavior or a character. Do you have that kind of thing go on?
You mean so if a player, how a player reacts, or how we kind of how they treat us?
Yeah, treat the chiropractor. They will often say things that they make fun, they make jokes. But those jokes are not typically what would translate in corporate America as something as
no
healthy.
No, that's training. That's locker room material.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's locker room material. Of course. Yes.
Right.
You have your players who very quiet, very stoic.
Yeah.
And then you have the guys who really want to sit and talk, and they want to hear about your family, and you talk about their family.
Yeah.
Then you have, I've had players where, hey, would you like to join us in a prayer group prior to the game time?
That's cool.
So it's a different myriad of relationships.
Yeah.
Right. And the relationships is very important, because if you don't have a relationship with your players, you're not going to be there very long. That's just it. They got to like you. Right? Yeah. They got to like you. You got to get results, but they got to like you with this. And there's ways that, of course, I would talk to a player that I wouldn't talk to a patient in the office. You know how hey baby, come on, let's get going, and that kind of stuff, right? You're not doing that in the office at all.
Well, Spencer is. He lives in Miami.
Oh, we can hit him on the ass and go, "Hey, that's a good job." No sexual harassment there, bud.
Yeah. No, there's. Like you guys too. You've had some great experiences, and you have your favorites, right?
Yeah.
And then you. Oh, this is my dog coming in.
I love it.
My dog is joining us.
Yeah.
Hi.
That's great.
Hey, Boo.
What kind of dog?
This is. You can't see. Let's see here. Let's see if we can see her. There we go. See?
Yeah.
Hi, Angie.
That's great.
Hi, Angie. Now the other one's in the kennel right now. So
there you go.
All right. I can't pay attention to you right now. Okay.
You got to get Doug. Where's Doug?
Oh, Doug's already come in twice. I've had to push it. Yeah, tell me go.
Oh. Oh, that's great. But right now I am the worst with professional sports. I don't know what the status is. I don't know where are the Angels at? Are you guys done? Is it
season's over?
Season's over for y'all.
Season's over with it, and they had a tough year. This organization has had some tough times.
Yeah.
Just can't get there right now.
Do they come into you off season?
Not as much lately, because we don't have too many players who are local. Most of the guys are away with that. In years past, we'd have some who live local, but not as much. So typically, it's just going down to the stadium. But now, since I'm done with them now with it, it's I do feel liberated. Hey, look, I'm going to be more time in my office, and won't have those experiences, and you have your last of everything, the last in that training room, the last of saying the goodbyes and everything.
Yeah.
At least I'm able to go out on my terms, and the relationships that you have that you made in the clubhouse, is with those trainers, your team doctors, the clubhouse attendants. All those people mean a significant amount for me because those relationships were there. They're present every year, year in, year out with it. And I really wanted to say goodbye to those men and women. It was a great experience with it. Overall, I loved it and ready for the next chapter.
How is your relationship with the medical doctors, the orthopedics? What's that like for you over there?
Very well. I'm very close with our team doctor, Dr. Craig Millhouse, is our team doctor with it. Our orthopedic doctors, I have good relationships with them as well. We refer patients back and forth with that. So overall, we've had fantastic relationships. Now, since in my tenure, we've had different team doctors over the years with it. We had one group, Curlin Job was our initial group. And then do you remember Lou Yoakum?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So when he passed away, and then a new GM comes in, and they went to a new doctor orthopedic group, and they were here for a few years, had great relationships with those two doctors as well with it. Fantastic job. And then it comes back down to somebody else comes in and makes a change again, and they go back to Curlin Job. So you see a change. I've seen a lot of changes over the years with that, but I've always had a great relationship, very good working relationship. I've never had any type of negative component at all with any of the team doctors with the Angels.
That's cool.
And you say this is your last year. Is there a reason why you're leaving, or is it just time? Or
well, you sometimes you get the squeeze play is on, and when it's time to leave.
Got
with
it.
that. So it was it's that it's time to move on. It's time to move on with it, and the players' demands change. Now, being something in 19 years, you have certain players that come up and they want certain things with that, and they want more time and more hours and things of that nature. So,
got it.
Things don't match at the end of the day. Sometimes you know when it's time to go, and it was just the time to go.
Got it.
But nothing negative at all. No negative experience. No animosity. No nothing.
That's
we
cool.
Left on great terms, and I have great relationships with our trainers today, and we exchange information and texts and things like that outside the training room with it. So all really good.
19 years is a long time for anything. Sometimes it's nice to change things up a little bit, even for ourselves. That's a long time.
Right. No, there's no doubt about it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have plans of what you want to do with all that extra time?
Well, just focus more on your office. We have a high demand right now. I'm sure your practices are going pretty well with everything. The pandemic, it just seems like we've just been really, really been busy. So, just fine tuning things, doing projects that you've been sitting on your table for a while or sitting on your desk, and just trying to make my office run as efficient as possible and keeping a good team together. That's really what my focus is.
That's a good focus.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Where I get more time for my family too. By the way,
there you go.
That's also
you
one
better
thing.
say
Can I bring that up? Can I bring that up?
Yeah.
One thing is being part of a team. There's a sacrifice, right?
Right.
You're sacrificing time, but one sacrifice is your family sacrifices because you got to go to the game. You're not going to the birthday party because you're scheduled to work that game. It's not like, hey, can I call my trainer and reschedule that? No, that's not how it works, right? So there's a lot of sacrifice, and my family has sacrificed over the years, and I feel really liberated about that.
That's awesome.
Hey, look, it's time for me not to have to miss this and that because I have to go work at the stadium.
Yeah.
So family is really important.
That's so good. And good on you for thinking about that and making that a priority. That's a lot of people don't think about that until it's too late. What's some of the advice that you wish you had when you came out of school that you could give now? Like if to be in the pro sports, what's something advice you wish you had that you can pass on to somebody coming out?
You have to speak the same language as everybody else, right? What that means is we as chiropractors study what's under chiropractic. What are the trainers in the physical therapy study? right? What are the seminars they're going to? What are the things that they are learning? Because if you learn that as well, then you can speak the same language as they are speaking.
Yeah.
So that's like saying going to, have you heard of On Base University?
No.
Professional baseball chiropractor. There's chiropractors, and you have it's out of let me think here. The Tyler's Institute, right? TPI.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Okay, it's a break off through there.
Okay.
And it's all about the function of swinging and pitching and what have you. You have chiropractors, you have trainers, you have coaches there, you have all these things. So learning, going through that and getting certified with that, you're seeing what other languages. When you can speak the same language as the other trainer, he or she starts talking to you about a certain technique, you're like, "Ooh, you don't know about that." You're like, "You don't know about that?" So I think it's so important that you not only just study on the components of chiropractic, you have to know what they are studying as well, and go to those seminars as well and learn those things. You may not use that technique, but if you're going to be in the sports world, you need to speak that language. You just need to. That is a key thing now that I wouldn't have never guessed it. Back then, with it when first starting up, you don't know how many techniques were back then and how many styles. There's so many different types of seminars with different muscle work, joint work, and different things with this. You need to know that. If you're going to be in the sports world, you need to know what's going on. At least you can communicate that and say, yes, I like this, or no, I don't like this with this, and hey, I can use this on your player or what have you. You need to have more tools in your tool shed. The more tools you have, it's not just chiropractic tools. It's those other tools, what they're doing too. Because you know what? They're doing what we're doing.
Yeah.
They're manipulating. And if you think that you're the best one, no, these guys are doing it.
Yeah.
He's doing it on the road. These guys are doing the mid backs, doing low backs. I don't necessarily ever see them doing the cervical component of it. So you need to know your trade really well, but you need to know what they're doing and do it as well too.
Here's a sensitive topic that some chiropractors will cheer me on for asking, and others will curse me and stab their little voodoo doll of Spencer Barron. And that is, have you used the word subluxation amidst any of the medical doctors or trainers or anybody in particular?
No, I use segmental dysfunction. I use segmental dysfunction because what's their language of subluxation? What's their definition?
Minor dislocation,
yeah.
Okay, so if I use the term, and I'm not saying this is right or wrong, this is my personal opinion only.
Yeah.
If I use the term subluxation in their arena, what does that mean to them? Right? Their definition of subluxation is different than our subluxation.
Right.
So I never used the term subluxation in the sports arena when I was in the training room with it. It's segmental dysfunction. And that's my answer on that.
That's great. I mean, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. How do you describe what you do to a player that asks, "Hey doc, what's that cracking and popping, and what are you doing?"
All right, so I try to dummy it down a little bit, and I say it's like you got a soda pop can. You got a soda pop can, and can you squeeze it? Like, no. But if I open it, can you squeeze it? Yes, because it's now more pressure. It's still full, but it no longer has any more pressure. I says, as our joints come together and build up pressure, we release the pressure. Once we release the pressure, then you have better range of motion in the joint.
That's
brilliant. It's all about motion. So
That
was my definition, the simplest way, without using big terms, and that they can understand. And I would say beer can for some of the players, right? You can relate to that a little more, but I'm talking about, right? So that's what I said. That's how
I think that's great.
I
may
great
even start
analogy.
using that. Yeah.
I have it in all my years.
I just trademarked that. It's trademarked though. Sorry.
Is there a cost? I'll pay.
That's a great analogy that a student coming out can use. That's great.
Yeah, I really like that.
And the fact that you said you had to dummy it down, hey, Spence, that's something you can use in Fort Lauderdale, So I think they'll understand it there. Us California guys, we can step it up a notch, but that's something you guys can use down there, in that geriatric world.
Well, actually, being in South Florida, could you say that whole metaphor again in Spanish? That would be really great for me.
I'm a coconut. I'm brown on the outside and white in the middle. So I'm not truly Spanish-speaking Hispanic, if you know what I mean.
Coconut.
No. That was great.
That's another one I've never heard before. That was brilliant.
You're 2 for 2, Brian. That was 2.
Yeah,
oh my God.
Hey, I like to play cards. We play poker a lot, and all my buddies call me the coconut, right? I can speak a lick of Spanish. So my last name is Prieto, right? The true pronunciation is Prieto.
Yeah.
But when I was getting a job when I was young, I was like, hey, do you want an Italian? I'm Prieto if you want Italian. If you want Hispanic, I'm Prieto.
Yeah.
That's how I go along with it.
Do you realize now, though, every time I see you now in the flesh, I'm not gonna get that out of my head. I'm gonna have to coconut you.
It's kind of true though, doesn't it?
It's totally true. I'm just vanilla. I got nothing. I'm like a vanilla ice cream. I just melt in the sun. I'm white and melt in the sun.
you can't say Wayman any other way. You can't give it a Spanish flair, an Italian flair. It's just Wayman, right? Sorry, man.
Yeah, come on, Lance. Go ahead. Yes, that's right.
Well, then maybe you should spell it W-A-Y.
No, that'd be Wayman. Wyman, it's a German, so it's actually Weiman. It's so the E's silent. Weiman.
Dr. Weiman. Yep. That's it. Dr. Prieto and Dr. Weiman. Very good.
Yeah, then we got Baron.
We could say Baron 10,000 different with all sorts of different accents. I hear it all the time. Yeah.
How do you screw up Baron?
Yeah. Oh, they find a way. Yeah, there's no doubt.
Oh my goodness.
Anyway,
Brian, what's one of the funny things, like when you look back in your 19 years, is there any one, whether it's a practical joke, because the training rooms are hilarious, a practical joke or something that was so fun and that you'll always be able to look back on and just make you laugh?
Okay, yeah, I got one here.
Perfect.
So it was a tense game. I can't remember how many years ago. And I don't recall if it was like a first playoff. I recall. I remember it was a big game for us. And so we had one particular player, named anonymous. So it's just a little tense. Usually in the locker room, sometimes you got music going on. And I enjoyed it when the music was already on. You got reggae, everyone's working. This particular day was quiet. It was silence. You just can feel it's just a little tense going on. So there's one particular player kind of, I think, recognized that. And next thing you know it's before game time. This guy walks in with his cleats and socks on only, butt naked, comes in the locker room, starts dancing. Come on, guys, let's go. We're ready to go. Let's keep this game. Let's get going with it. And his junk hanging, and it's just, we all busted up laughing. Just broke the ice. And it was great. Just with his baseball hat on, but his cleats, his spikes on, and socks. Yeah, that was.
There's always one. There's always one in every group, man.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoy. These guys play games with each other on the phone, right? They're getting worked on, and they're playing this particular game, and they're racing each other. They're wagering each other. All the different kind of fun stuff with it. It's a crack up. It's a kid's room, for crying out loud.
Totally.
Yeah. But that was the most memorable though.
Oh, that one would be indebted in my brain too as well.
That I don't even want to know who the player was, because then I'll have that image in my head. So.
Yeah, you don't want to know.
Yeah.
Hey, so coming out, you've done the pro teams, you've done your sacrifices, everything you've made in all your incredible years. For a burned out doctor or a new doctor, what advice would you give them?
For the sports world or just in general?
Let's do both. Yeah.
Well, in general, I mean, who you working for, right? You're working for the patient.
Right.
Do and learn and figure these things out, and don't be so this is what I do, right? You got to figure things out. Get them excited. But getting excited is you have to figure things out sometimes. And you're like, shoot, this didn't work. Boom, and then you figure it. Then you find it, right? Life just works that way. So you really have to hone down as knowing who you're working for and try to get the results. Really focus on that. It's not about more marketing and what you're seeing on social media. But social media is one thing too. I'd like to kind of mention a little bit about as well with that. But really, you have to really focus on your patient. That's really bottom line, I think.
What do you want to say about social media?
I say social media. A lot of times we have. I think, and I could be an island on this, with this, and it could be very debatable. I think I'm really more old school with it. Sometimes how you put on Facebook and saying, hey, this is what I'm doing today, and you're taking a photo of yourself going inside the training room, or you're doing this, you with this player, and you're like, hey, this is my day to day, and things of that nature. I just don't think that's the forum for us with this. You don't see the trainers doing that. You don't see the team doctors doing that. I think that's not necessary with it. And you're calling attention to yourself. If you call attention to yourself, this is my belief only. I think you're asking for trouble. I believe stay under the radar with it and stay low key and just do your job. It's worked for me for many, many years. And I see those other guys who it didn't work for so well when they, kind of got out of their little arena and they wanted to promote and marketing, and that's all good, but you can do that in your office. But I think when you're in somebody else's arena, I think it's a little, I'm just not for it with it. Now, again, I could be on an island regarding this. It's just how I feel about it.
I think
no, I agree. I agree from a perspective that it really boils down to intention, only because I've done the photograph thing. I've done, it's a relationship that you develop after so many years with either a player or a team. And I have to be very candid because I agree with you wholeheartedly. It's scary to me to see this generation, or not even us old guys who are just tapping into, social media, think, oh, let me get a photograph with this star, and they put their arm around them and they, give the, the point the finger thing, like this is my guy. But the reality is it boils down to intention. And there have been players that have become close with me, big name guys that absolutely don't mind that I'm adjusting them, or a photograph is taken, or I'll set it up in such a manner, or there was even a guy that had the coolest tattoo that I have ever seen, that I asked him if I could take a photograph of it. And he was totally game on for that. So intention, and I agree with you, Brian, but intention has a lot to do with it too, as to, where your heart is at with a player. And you would.
Oh, sure. No doubt about it. But sometimes we want to use as chiropractors, we're kind of more in the marketing world with that. And we kind of trying to use that as a marketing tool. Yeah. With that, and I think there's when you go in your office and you have the jerseys and all that kind of things and photos, that's fine. That's your domain. That brings instant credibility with that. Yeah. With that, I just think when you go out and you do certain things for intentions of marketing purposes, that we all do. But I think if you're standing out, you're not that team person anymore. You're trying to call attention to yourself. I just think you just run into more problems.
I agree, and you bring up a sensational point that I'll end with, and that is one of the things that I find a little unnerving is, chiropractors that are just getting involved, they'll ask for autographs of their players that they don't have much of a relationship with, and it completely changes the dynamic of doctor-patient relationship, and it turns it into, groupie and rock star relationship, and that's not what we want chiropractic to look like. We want
right.
It would be nice is if the athletes have a higher regard and respect for you as a doctor than you do them as a player or like a rock star player type of thing. So, but anyway, Brian, that was a good super point that I am pretty sensitive to about that. Other than that, I think this was fantastic. You had said so many fantastic things that I would really love to highlight for the future and the future doctors and the seasoned doctors that are out there. So thank you very, very much.
Well, a lot of us who've been at this level with it, I mean, we're like the first guys going in the training room, right? We had to learn, and we have to pass it down. I think we owe to the younger DCs to pass it down, the rules, the unwritten rules, right, and regulations of the do's and don'ts inside a training room, and who you are, right, and who you're supposed to be, and what your role is with it. Because if we don't, and then we have that one person, that one girl, that one guy, and go rogue, and they do this, and it just gives a bad taste in the mouth for those trainers against us, and we don't need that. We need to be all working together. And also, for those people who are interested, we have called the professional. Can do a plug for the Professional Baseball Chiropractic Society.
Yep.
Which is it's like the NFL with that probaseballchiros.com. If you have interest in baseball, I'd like to plug our chiropractic society in regards to that. And we could talk all day about how we started behind Spencer Barron helped us set that thing off, and that's a whole different conversation for that. But the NFL organization, definitely Kairos spearheaded that and helped us get on our way with that.
Thanks.
We got to have a conversation about those two organizations. Actually, maybe that'd be a good podcast at some point with that.
I think that's a great idea. Hey, and Brian, to wrap this up, I just want to say, you kind of did this last minute. That really means a lot to me as your friend, and to step up and to do this. I mean, I hold you in huge high regards, and I really appreciate your time and doing what you do. And you gave us some great tips that I think will help other people. And I'd love to have you back down the road to hear how the transition went and to talk more about these different organizations. I think that would be a great topic.
That's a great idea.
If you'd have us, we'd have you.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And I look up to you gentlemen for taking the time to put this podcast together, to put this organization together. Like, wow, I look at this and I'm thinking, my goodness, how did he have time to do that? But kudos to you for doing this and for teaching others and letting people learn from you. So thank you very much for helping our profession and leading the way and doing. What a fantastic idea. I'm excited to see more of the episodes.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Yeah, we really appreciate you. And next time we see you, the first beer is on me, and we can crack it open and talk about subluxations. All right, brother. Hey,
okay,
I love you to death. Thank you for everything you do for all of us.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, you guys have a good rest of your weekend. All right.
You bet, buddy.
All right.
Take care.
Take care.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. You can find announcements and more on our Instagram at the Crackin' Backs Podcast. Give us a follow and let us know what you think. We'd love to hear from you. Tune in every Monday and Wednesday for a new episode at 7 a.m. CST. See you next time.